Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Egan, professor at Cal State University East Bay and president of CFA. CSU faculty are amazing. They successfully teach a lot of sections and a lot of students, just like the faculty in the community colleges do. And they do amazing research, like UC faculty. So why are our salaries falling so far behind our peers in public higher education? CSU faculty do an extraordinary amount of service for the system and for communities all over the state. My CSU faculty colleagues are the best of public higher education in California, in my humble opinion. CSU students are amazing. They are smart, driven, diverse, and hopeful. Working with and for them, for us faculty members, is a joy. However, the intrinsic and personal rewards derived from teaching our amazing students and engaging in our fascinating disciplines do not pay the bills. Personal rewards are not a reflection of how much our employer values our work. Why are we addressing the Finance Committee? Well, for the first time in memory, there's no time allotted for public comment on collective bargaining, but we do have an idea of what should be included in your budget plans. And that is a 5% general salary increase for all faculty and service step increases for faculty who have earned them. We want you to put money towards what you claim to value, which is faculty in the classroom and student success. Today you will hear from award-winning faculty in different fields from several campuses and from some of their students. I implore you to listen carefully. These are the people that you fail to value with your warped budgetary decisions and your other spending priorities. The roses are nice, but we need the bread. At the bargaining table, both sides have declared impasse and are now in mediation. But it is not too late for you, Chancellor White, and for the Board of Trustees to come through for your public university faculty. You have the opportunity right now to honor and respect your faculty's teaching and research, to protect academia and the public mission of the CSU, and to make sure that CSU students are best served and to elevate the state of California in the process. So I would like to introduce to you one of CSU's star faculty members from CSU Channel Islands, Simone Aliosio.
Thank you. My name is Simone Aloisio, and I'm a professor and chair of the chemistry department at Cal State Channel Islands. I started my career in the CSU in January of 2003, and I've won 2 teaching awards. One given by the students, as well as this year I won the one given by my campus, the President's Award for Innovation in Teaching and Learning. I love my job. In the CSU, we take students from working class families, many of whom are first generation like I was, and we provide them with educational foundation to give them better lives and better jobs. We do this better than anyone else in the state, I believe. We do, everybody, together. But I'm worried about the message that my faculty colleagues and I are receiving, that our work isn't valued because our raises have been pretty much non-existent or minimal throughout my career. While 2% raise every year might seem reasonable, faculty have gone without regular raises since I've started working in the CSU. I lobbied the legislator with many of you for increased funding in the CSU so that we could support education in the state. Working together, we were very successful to get our legislators to acknowledge the important role that faculty play in the CSU through their funding increase. I think it's fair and reasonable that we use this increase to compensate faculty in a manner that will help fix the problem that's been neglected for the last decade or so. Thank you for your time. I'd like to introduce Dr. Donna Andrews from CSU Stanislaus.
Good afternoon. My name is Donna Andrews, and I teach at CSU Stanislaus in the Department of Teacher Education. As a first-generation college graduate, I benefited from the support and wisdom of my college professors, coaches, who all prepared me for a rewarding career as an educator. I've paid it forward many times during my 34 years as a teacher. I currently work with credentialed candidates who face many challenges in our service area, schools in the Central Valley, that are burdened by truancy, poverty, and high dropout rates. I ask these candidates to not lose hope and help them to find ways to make their classrooms a place where students feel valued, driven, and respected as they prepare to positively impact this world. Recently, I was recognized with 2 campus awards for my teaching and service successes. My students respect my accomplishments surrounding these awards and admire my stamina in holding them accountable to high standards. My passion for teaching and service learning are also evident in my graduates. I receive many emails and phone calls from school administrators in the Central Valley praising my former students for their professionalism and ability to be solid role models for their students and school community. Given all that I offer the university, unfortunately I feel devalued financially and struggle to remain optimistic. When I was hired in 2008, I was given a base salary that was $30,000 less than my salary as a teacher in a public school in Ohio. I was told I could make up this difference by teaching summer school and writing grants. That never happened, and I worked feverishly to find ways to make up my lost wages. To make matters worse, I experienced frozen wages and a furloughed salary due to 2008 budget crisis. Today, even after a recent equity raise, I make $40,000 less than I would if I had remained in Ohio. Given the cost of living in California is 3 times that of Ohio, my family needs help, I have to supplement my income with extra projects, teaching assignments, and other work that frankly has me exhausted. This pace is untenable. My son, who still lives in Ohio, worries about me, which is never a good feeling as a mother. He watched me battle it out with cancer 7 years ago and does not want me to run myself to the ground. He wonders why the CSU system does not take care of me so that I can continue to positively impact the lives of my students. My husband is among many of the underpaid lecturers who train future teachers and provide them with the rigor and relevance necessary to sustain a career in education. We've been asking ourselves, why are we working in the CSU system, and perhaps we should seek teaching positions back in Ohio. In order to stay in my present position, I would like to know how I could feel more valued as a professor, given my 21 years of secondary teaching experience and 13 years of college pedagogy that I utilize during every lesson in the training of new teachers. These are the public teachers who make more than I do and do not see the financial incentive of furthering their education and becoming university professors. It seems that the CSU management policy will contribute to a shrinking pool of college professors. I call on you, the leaders of the California State University system, to be a part of the solution by giving educators fair and respected wages. It's my honor to introduce my former student, Veronica Shadez.
Good afternoon, and I apologize, Dr. Andrews, that I'm very close to what you're making right now, which is not fair. My name is Veronica Chides. I am currently a math teacher, and I'm also a graduate at CSU Stanislaus. I became an educator because I believe in education and the power that teachers hold in molding the lives of their students. Although I'm only a semester away from receiving my master's in education, and I'm also aspiring to receive my EDD in school administration, education wasn't always a passion or my number one priority. I was a high school dropout, I was a teenage mom, and I was involved in gangs. I was the epitome of an at-risk student. But it was professors like the ones we have here now that have changed my life, that have inspired me to become one of them. Especially professors like Dr. Andrews, whose passion, knowledge, and education has pushed me into the education world and to continue to pursue a higher education. Our continued partnership throughout the years, in my opinion, has made me a leader in education. I have been recognized in several different districts. I have been featured in different newspaper articles because of my achievements. That was all made possible only because of the influence that I've received from CSU Stanislaus faculty. Right now, through our current partnership, we still continue to work with 200 students yearly in the K-12 school setting. We have saved actual lives in the Central Valley. I can mention Araceli, teenage mom who was wanting to drop out of high school. We prevented her from dropping out. Christian, out of the airport district in Modesto, we saved him with getting too much involved with gangs. And all it was basic partnerships and collaboration. I have experienced and expressed Right now, my love for teaching and the impact it has on the lives of my students and the importance of a continuous partnership. But I have to mention that none of this would have been possible without the collaboration and the support of my faculty, the faculty at CSU Stanislaus. Everything good about me today as a person, as a professional, has come from the influences that they've had on me right now. I look at them as role models, as resources, and I aspire to be one of them in the future. But I'm sitting here and I'm so worried about my future, right, as we speak. If they're not adequately compensated, what is to lead me into that direction? I do not want to take a pay cut for doing what I love to do. I'm trying to get out of the ghetto. I don't want to go back. I've been moving and trying to improve my life and improve myself financially and education-wise. And when I'm faced and I hear that we're having contract issues, I worry. I worry about my future, and I worry about the future of the students in our K-12 system. Professors like Dr. Andrews and all the others deserve compensation, and they need to be compensated for their professional worth. Without them, I don't think our education system can continue. And now our next speaker is Dr. Enrique Ochoa from CSU LA.
Good afternoon. My name is Enrique Ochoa, and I'm a professor of Latin American Studies and History at Cal State Los Angeles, where I've been for 20 years. This is my 25th year teaching in the CSU system, so I've spent over half my life teaching in the CSU, dedicating it to teaching and working and learning from CSU students and their communities. I'm fortunate to have been recognized over the years by my colleagues as a past President's Distinguished Professor, as an outstanding professor, and as a Wegland Endowed Chair for Multicultural Studies at Cal Poly Pomona. Teaching in the CSU has always been my dream job. My parents met first in 1962 at CSU LA as first-generation college students, and so I always knew that the CSU was the people's university. It's the university, right, that works with working people in California to help create just and fair communities, strong, just, fair communities. This purpose has been central to my vocation. While I love my job, the work that my colleagues and I do is not easy. It can't be measured through FTE, SFR, or any other reductionist assessment tools. It requires broad and deep knowledge of not only the subject matter, but also pedagogical methods, how to reach so that we can reach students and draw them in. Meeting with students, preparing and teaching dynamic lectures, being involved in government governance and government committees, answering emails, reading exams, articles, and book manuscripts, developing our research and writing, working in the community and in local schools. This takes long hours. This is the work that faculty do, and we deserve to be justly compensated and supported. Salaries that don't keep up with the cost of living and with our colleagues at similar institutions limit how faculty are able to interact with students. I've seen many colleagues forced to find other jobs to make ends meet. This reality that we must take on other work to support ourselves and our family keeps us away from doing the intensive work with students that we want to do and that must be done. Our workload, low salaries, and the demand of our work has pushed me to the brink on more than one occasion. Twice I've had to take leaves of absences because of emotional exhaustion, because of burnout. The CSU fosters this culture of overwork and unfair remuneration. This encourages faculty to leave the classroom, leave teaching, and go into administration, and in the process be further removed from students. Right? And this is what gets rewarded. We don't need more administrators. We urgently need more faculty. With the improved funding of the CSU system, right, we need to invest more in classrooms, in faculty, and in students. This is the time to help make up the backsliding in pay that faculty have experienced over the last decade. You have the ability to reverse the disturbing trends in the CSU, right, that are well documented in CFA's Race to the Bottom studies. These negative trends are hurting our students and are hurting our future students. I urge you all to seriously reconsider the priorities of the CSU. I'm now really very honored to introduce to you Christian Torres, an amazing student from Cal State University of Los Angeles.
Hello, I'm Christian Torres, working class student, first generation college student, and I'm double majoring in Latin American Studies and Pan-African Studies at Cal State LA, and I'm here in support of Dr. Ochoa. So before I transferred from community college to CSU LA, I heard many great things about Dr. Ochoa, his research, and the Latin American Studies program from my history professor at my community college. And from this sparked my interest at CSU LA and guided my decision to transfer there ultimately. And on my first day of class at Cal State LA, it was actually in Dr. Ochoa's class, his History of Central America course, which exceeded my expectations and set the tone for my academic experience at CSU LA. The class was structured horizontally so that both students and the professor were all engaged in the process of producing knowledge collectively. I was blown away by this, and it was something that I never experienced in my years in academia, and it was something that I look forward to for every class. And I remember one instance that stands out, where I came into Dr. Ochoa's office to ask about Latin American Studies program after deciding to change to that major. But before I did, he took the time to really hear me out, see how I was, how my transition to the CSU was, and it was just phenomenal for a professor to take that time to talk to me. But when I told him about changing to that major, instead of just directing me to the Latin American Studies office, he walked me there, spending that time to talk to me while we got there, and he introduced me to the director at the time. And this was significant to me because I had never seen such an investment from a professor in my success inside and outside of the classroom. And Dr. Ochoa extends his commitment to student success to all his students and places a strong emphasis on putting the knowledge produced in the classroom into practice in the community. And this instilled in me the importance of praxis, that what is being taught in the classroom is not confined within the walls of the class. And Dr. Ochoa, he opened up his classroom for students to air out their issues, for students that are activists, and he brought them in, and that's how I got involved in student activism, because of his classroom, how I became more interested in what was going around in my college campus and to get involved. And his professors like Dr. Ochoa, who exceed expectations, who are invested in their student success, who mentor students, who diligently grade every paper and leave comments that foster growth for the students, and without the aid of a TA, who deserve recognition, not only recognition, but fair and just compensation for their work, which is why I am here in support of Dr. Ochoa and CSU faculty who deserve more, who deserve raises, who put in the time and really care about their students and are just phenomenal. And it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Matthew Gendine.
Hello, I'm Dr. Matthew Gendian, full professor and chair of sociology at Fresno State. I love what I do, and that's a problem. Always knew I'd be a teacher. I have a framed finger painting that I did in first grade, hanging on my office wall with two stick figures standing in front of a chalkboard. And in my finest first grade manuscript, it says at the bottom, "I will be a teacher." I'm Bulldog born, Bulldog bred, born and raised in Fresno, completed my BA at Fresno State, spent the last 21 years as a faculty there. People can tell I love my work. My productivity demonstrates that love, having received numerous university and community awards. My classes are highly rated by students and peers. I've developed new sociology courses, expanded service learning opportunities, which increases graduation rates, founded the Humanics program at Fresno State, a certificate that helps the CSU power the new California, engendering exceptional leaders, enhanced organizations, and enriched communities. My research has been published in journals, and I've authored a book. My reputation for advising means I have lines outside my door during every office hour. Drafting 100 letters of recommendation a year for current and former students for internships, employment, and grad school is not unusual. I'm privileged to be in the position I have to assist people in reaching their academic and career goals and derive great satisfaction from that. But this labor of love has been a problem that's worsened over time. Love doesn't pay the bills, and doing what I love has served as a means of exploitation throughout my 21 years as a CSU faculty. In '95, when I just earned my master's from USC, my first part-time lecturer semester contract, $9,000 at Fresno State, I rationalized my low pay. I'm doing what I love. Things improved when I signed my first full-time lecturer contract, $36,000 in 1998. And again in 2002, once I finished my doctorate, signed my first tenure track contract for $48,000, lower than my wife's elementary teacher's salary. Although I made $51,000 in 2007, the only increases between '08 and '13 were from tenure and promotion. No cost of living increase, no GSI, no SSI. I lost ground financially due to inflation, came close to bankruptcy. Thank goodness I was able to refinance my home and take out a second line of credit. It's hard to justify to my family and my boys why I invest up to 60 hours or 70 hours a week to help my students and advance the CSU's mission. And I'm not the only one. Today's faculty in the CSU are tremendously overworked and underappreciated. As department chair, I've had 2 candidates reject offers of employment. I've had a tenured and a tenure-track professor resign, and I don't blame them. I contemplated leaving Fresno State in 2007 for a tenure track at Fresno City College, starting at $65,000. And I just received that as a full professor. I'm teaching summer classes, teaching external sources at 125% of pay. When is 100% employment as a CSU faculty member going to result in 100% pay? You have that opportunity as a board of trustees, the fiduciary oversight, to direct the chancellor to do the right thing and restore the CSU to where it belongs. I'm pleased to introduce my former student, Dr. Pedro Nava, assistant professor of Mills College in Oakland, California.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Pedro Nava. As Dr. Jay said, I'm an assistant professor of education at Mills. I grew up in Planada, a small farm working community in California's Central Valley. I come from a migrant farm working background, the first in my family to attend the university, and was fortunate to be an undergraduate Dean's Medal at CSU Fresno. There, I was privileged to be a student and mentee of Dr. Matthew Gendian. Today, I'm speaking on behalf of more than 4,000 students Dr. Jay has taught and supported through the sociology department and the humanics program at Fresno State. Dr. Jay, through his leadership with humanics, prepares transformational leaders to tackle the Valley's pressing issues. What's impacted me about Dr. Jay was his pedagogical approach in the form of a public sociology. He bridges theoretical content and knowledge with what's going on in community spaces and challenges his students to wrestle intellectually while guiding us through the process of engaging positive social change in those communities. While Dr. Jay has earned numerous teaching, social action, and community leadership awards, those awards, without adequate compensation for the hard work he and other faculty engage in, are empty, laudable expressions that can become exploitative when substituted for the former. Dr. Gendian has left an indelible mark on my academic and life trajectory. We crossed paths almost by accident. I've heard him speak as a guest speaker for aspiring PhDs in the McNair program. I was immediately impressed by his commitment to social equity and vision for how things could be. Soon after, I asked him to serve as my mentor for the McNair project. I was inspired. I had finally found a role model of the type of academic that I wished to be like. With his guidance and support, I was admitted to Harvard and earned a master's degree in education administration. Each day on campus, I was in classes with students from the most privileged upbringings. Transitioning from a large public institution to a small private elite university requires continued mentorship and support. You don't inspire your students to reach for the stars, only to abandon them once they have left your classroom. To thrive in such an environment, especially for a first-generation student like me, requires time and willingness to mentor. The multiple letters of recommendation, phone calls, and emails reminding students that they belong in those spaces when the pictures on the walls and histories of such institutions tell them otherwise. After Harvard, I attended a PhD program at UCLA. I sought Dr. Jay's input on navigating my program, providing feedback on fellowships, job applications, and especially navigating a terrible job market. As a relatively new faculty member, as a parent, and a member of a new generation with unprecedented levels of student debt, and as someone who also aspires to have a profound impact on his students and community, I have an even deeper appreciation for the sacrifices Dr. Jay and other CSU faculty make on behalf of their families for their students. I now see the time and commitment required to maintain such a high level of teaching, research, and service excellence. While many of us faculty love what we do, there is no better feeling than when your place of employment shows you in tangible ways that they truly value your contributions. Now is an important opportunity for the CSU to exercise the necessary leadership to support faculty in meaningful ways so they can continue to inspire, motivate, and model for the next generation of students the type of scholarship and citizenship the CSU aspires its graduates to reflect. Thank you. I would like to now introduce Dr. Eileen Wallace.
Hello, my name is Dr. Eileen V. Wallace. I teach at Cal Poly Pomona. I am a very proud product of the CSU system. My BA is from Cal State Northridge, my MA is from Sacramento State, and today I am chair of the history department at Cal Poly. I'm committed not only to teaching, but to also helping students get real-world learning experiences outside of the classroom. In my department, we do this partly by developing service learning projects that team students up with community organizations. Recently, I received the Faculty Award from Cal Poly's Center for Community Service Learning for doing these kinds of projects. It has been tremendously meaningful to me to do this kind of service because it benefits both the students and our university. But it is not reflected in how we as faculty are paid. It's very difficult to do this kind of time-intensive, faculty-intensive educational work when we, the teachers, are struggling to get by. That is why, to be quite frank, very few CSU students really get a truly hands-on learning experience inside or outside of the classroom. Faculty are not rewarded for providing this kind of intensive learning experience, and a faculty member that does so has to accept the fact that he or she is committing to a lot of unpaid work. It is in fact to the detriment of students that more faculty cannot offer this kind of learning because they are too busy earning a living. As a department chair, I encounter lecturers and junior faculty who have a lot of exciting ideas for service and community engagement. But so many of these great ideas would be an enormous amount of extra work for which they would not be compensated. It's hard as a department chair to encourage them when I know it will be unpaid labor. I absolutely understand the impulse to do exciting projects with your students, and I applaud it. I do it myself. But I have to help people seriously consider the time they commit because they will take back only knowledge, which, while valuable, is not an actual reward they can take home to support their own families. For junior faculty, it will not be reflected in salary, and for lecturers, it won't even be a factor in job evaluations. There is no mechanism in place to even evaluate these extra services, and there are a lot of them, as you heard today, that faculty provide for CSU students. And that is a shame, because instruction takes many, many forms. It is not just standing in front of a classroom. Thank you.